Hello, welcome back to Vinyl Show and Tell. Hope everyone's doing alright. Thank you very much as always for tuning in. It's been a while since my last video, so I thought I'd do another one, keep in the loop as they say. So today I want to talk about post-punk. It's very much a favourite musical genre of mine. I have touched on it on earlier videos. I've shown post-punk albums that I've either listened to or bought at fairs and shops over the last year or so. But I've never done a video dedicated solely to it. In a similar way to a previous video I did, previous couple of videos in fact, on prog rock, I wanted to show 10 obscure albums that don't get the attention that they deserve but are musically absolutely great. All of these albums are sort of from the late 70s, early 80s, what I would call the kind of classic era of post-punk, you know, when it all first started coming about. After the kind of, I suppose, the actual punk era before that, around 76, 77, 78. So yeah, there we have it. It's just me. It's just going to be me showing some albums. So I'm rabbiting now. So let's show you what I've got. So first of all, we've got this one. This is by Punishment of Luxury. It's from 1979. And the album itself is called Laughing Academy. Fantastic record, as all of these are. Brilliant, brilliant album. This is the only full-length album that they did. They did a couple of mini albums after this. The first one I've got. This is quite a heavy one. Slightly funky in places. It's on a major label. It's on United Artists Records. There it is. However, I've never seen anyone talk about this one, and it is absolutely fantastic. If you like pure punk, you'll probably like this. It's got real sort of balls and attitude to it. It's slightly funky. Lyrically, it's very, very dark indeed. I mean, some of the songs, I can't believe what they're singing about. I'll let you judge for yourself. This, like pretty much all the albums I'm going to show, is not expensive at all. I think I paid about £12 for this. I've never seen it in the wild. I got it off Discogs a good few years back. But it's absolutely fantastic. It's not too difficult to find. There's plenty of copies on Discogs, but as I say, you just don't see it in the wild. But yeah, Punishment of Luxury, absolutely great. A good start. Okay, next up. This is a band I have mentioned, I know I've mentioned several times. I'll talk about this a lot on my videos. This is the Method Actors. Now the album is called Rhythms of You. Now this is, if you think this album looks a bit too far away, it's not. It's actually a 10-inch record. Marginal inclusion, it's listed on Discogs as an EP, but the running time's about half an hour. It's on 33 RPM, so I'm going to class this as an album. It's on a brilliant label called Armageddon. There were tons of good post-punk bands on Armageddon in the early 80s. Well worth checking out. So the Method Actors, musical duo, or started as a duo, as you can see. One plays guitar and bass and sings, and the other is a drummer. Really, really excellent stuff. Very, very jagged. This particular release is quite hectic. It's quite heavy, quite brash sounding, whereas the other releases, they did an album called Little Figures. It's a double album released in the UK. It's slightly more on the experimental side. Later on they did another album called Luxury in the UK. Again, it was called Luxury Plus because it came with a free EP, and that expanded the lineup to include a separate bass player and a saxophonist. But they are absolutely brilliant. What's weird about it is this was only released in the UK. This wasn't released anywhere else, and it is only available in this format. It's a 10-inch original vinyl and nothing else. No CD release, nothing. That's it. And this cost me about £2. Once again, I've never seen one in the wild. It was off Discogs. They just do not get talked about, but they are one of the best post-punk outfits out there. If you are wondering, that is not Simon Cowell. I always think it looks a spitting image of Simon Cowell, but it very much isn't. I don't think he'd like this. This wouldn't. They wouldn't feature on the X Factor or Pop Idol. Most definitely not. So yeah, the Method Actors. I will hype them and hype them until someone buys them. Right, next up. Oh, this is a real favourite of mine. This is wonderful stuff. So this band is called Dalek, I Love You. It's their debut album. For whatever reason, the first release, they shortened their name to Dalek I. I really don't know why. And the album is called, remind myself, Compass. I will put the spelling down below. Marginal inclusion for post-punk really. This one I would say goes into a synth pop territory. It's very, very minimalistic, but does include guitars and analog drums. So I think I can, and it's kind of got a jagged enough sound for it to be included as post-punk. It's absolutely fantastic. They are related to the Teardrop Explodes. The main man in this is called Alan Gill, or is it Alan Gill, who I believe may have been in the Teardrop Explodes. I should really look that up. But no one ever talks about this. It's on a completely independent label called Backdoor. I've looked up Backdoor Records, and this is the only album release on that. There's a few 7-inch singles on it, and it is a wonderful, wonderful record. I have seen this in the wild a couple of times. It never seems to go for more than £10. Lots of copies on Discogs. It did get a CD release in the late 80s. At the same time, it was re-released with a completely different cover for whatever reason. But this original came out in 1980. It's also available with a white version cover as well. I would urge you to check this one out. If you see it on Discogs cheap, and it is on there cheap, and you like post-punk, grab it. It is absolutely brilliant. They did do a second album under the full name of Dalek, I Love You. That was released on Corova Records, which also housed who were on Corova. I need to think now. The Sound and Echo and the Bunnymen, and that's also a great record. So next up we have a one and only by Scars. This one's called Author. I would say slightly more commercial sounding post-punk record, this one. It's a little bit more song orientated. The final track, All About You, was released as a single actually. I don't quite know how well it did, but yeah, it's kind of, some of it's quite power poppy like, but it is still definitely, you know, in the post-punk vein. It's released on a label called just PRE, who were a subsidiary of Charisma Records. As I say, it's the only one they did, and it's a bit of a shame really, because again, it's a great record. I wish they'd have gone on to do more, but yeah, a lot of these bands are sort of a one and done. A lot of times it kind of reminds me a little bit maybe of the sort of early Comms Out Angels, and that's a very good thing, because the Comms Out Angels are absolutely great. Again, not difficult to find. This cost me, I think I actually bid on this one on eBay. I don't normally do that, but I did. This one came with a rare booklet. They don't all come with this, but again, you could get it for £10 or less. It's not expensive at all, and it's absolutely great. So do check it out. Okay, we've got one here by Spherical Objects. This is their second album. It's called Elliptical Optimism. Now they actually released 4 albums. I only got this and their third record. I'm missing the debut and the fourth one. But this is a great band. They actually have their own independent record label called Object Music. I'll show you the lovely labels. There we are. One side purple, one side white. Interesting sounding band. Very quirky. Odd kind of lyrics. They do sing about odd things. The vocalist is very unusual sounding. He's kind of got a bit of an acquired taste, if I'm honest with you. Very kind of nasally sounding. But still very good indeed. The Object Music label that they own, there's a good few other bands on there that are worth checking out. Proper independent label from Manchester. This one, I've still got the price label on the outer, was £15, so not that much. You might even get it cheaper if you hunt about for it. So Spherical Objects, Elliptical Optimism, check it out, or indeed any of their other albums. Really, really good stuff. Here we go, it's one from the United States, or another from the United States. This one's female fronted, they're called Pylon. Now I don't quite know how obscure Pylon are. I think I have heard them discussed before, so they might not be that obscure, but I suppose they are obscure to me. They have only done 2 albums. Their second album is called Chomp, which is also great. This one, like the Method Actors, is on the Armageddon label, although I think in the US they were released on DB Records. This is it's an absolute classic, this one. Really sort of quite aggressive sounding, really gutsy. As I say, great female vocals. It's an absolute classic. I've been told that REM were big fans of Pylon. They actually cite them as a big influence. So, you know, if you like your REM, you might want to check these out. This one I think was more like £20, so a little bit more, but still nothing terribly expensive. Once again, never seen it in the wild, at all. So, yeah, online only, I'm afraid, unless you're lucky. Okay, this is by a band called Fingerprints. Now, I have shown this album before. I bought this in Arundel last year and I did a video about Arundel, but I'm going to show it again because at the time I bought it I hadn't played it. This is absolutely fantastic, and this only cost me £5, although I do feel it was a bit of a bargain, to be perfectly honest with you. What can I say about them? They are quite funky, little bit of a reggae influence in them, to be honest with you. But yeah, got the real sort of jagged, angular sound of a great post-punk band. Quite a short album, it's only just over half an hour long, but they are absolutely brilliant. And yeah, they don't seem to be discussed or heard of yet. They are signed to Virgin, a major label. Just breaking away a minute, I'm just going to digress when it comes to Virgin Records, because it's something that did pop into my head. Virgin Records started as an independent, very much an independent label. I know they had a big leg up when they first started with Tubular Bells. That made them get big. At what point did Virgin stop being an independent and become a major label? Because there's no denying you can't really call them, in their latter years, an independent label. They were one of the majors. But I'm trying to sort of figure out in my head at what point did they become a major. To me, it is when they started using that logo that is still used today, that are on the side of your TV box, your train, your plane. Just a little food for thought there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, very, very cheap. Only cost me £5. That one. Indeed, I've been playing another one by theirs. I've got it right here. This cost me £1. This is their third album. Bit more disco orientated, this one. But yeah, I can't believe I got that for £1. Nothing costs £1 these days, does it? Very, very good stuff indeed. So, here we have a band called The Room. This is a mini album, or you can class it as an EP if you want. It's called Clear. This is their second release. Kind of the lighter side of post-punk, I'd say. Maybe more of a sort of an indie power pop band. Very, very melodic, but very, very good indeed. It's lovely stuff, this. Really, really good. And just, again, virtually unheard of. No one seems to be talking about it. Their first album was called Indoor Fireworks. Now that is much more punky than this, but no less good. But this, this is absolutely wonderful, absolutely brilliant. I don't know what the score is on CD releases here, but I think again it's vinyl only. So next up, we've got a complete one off. This is absolutely unique. This one is by The Dancing Did, and it is called And Did Those Feet. Oh, what can I say about this one? This is a complete one off. It's kind of post-punk but fused with folk and kind of tribal rhythms. Very, very dark sounding, very strange, but really, really good indeed. I mean, I can't think of anything else like it, to be honest with you. It's a proper independent release. It's on a label called Chimera. The only other band I know, or album on Chimera I know, is by the Au Pairs, who are very, very good with their second album. But this is it's absolutely fantastic. If you can get hold of this, it's well worth hearing. As I say, I've never really heard anything quite like this before. It is a complete one-off. I haven't played it for a while, so I'm going to keep that one out and spin that this weekend. It's been far too long. So there we go, The Dancing Did. And finally, we've got a band called Random Hold. This particular album is called Burn the Buildings. It's their third release. Like a few of the other albums I've shown, this never ever had a CD release, and in fact I checked it on Discogs earlier. If you want it, you either get this original album on RCA Records, or you don't have it at all. Not been reissued, nothing on CD. Very, very strange. And like so many others, very, very cheap on Discogs, yet have never seen one in the wild. It's strange. So Random Hold, I would say, are probably ever so slightly proggy, but they are more post-punk than prog. They started off, their first two albums were male vocals, and this one they had joined by a female vocalist. I say joined by, she's the only vocalist, so would have replaced whoever did it before. Very, very melodic, very, very good, jagged, everything you want from post-punk. Absolutely brilliant. Again, wasn't on an independent label, it was on RCA, it was on a major. Again, like the rest of them, doesn't get the exposure it deserves. So there we go, Random Hold. And their first two albums are also brilliant. So there we have it. Short but sweet. I don't really know what to say about them. They are all so good. I should maybe try and do some needle drops one day, but I'm not too sure where I stand with the copyright on them. But there we are. But my thoughts are with these post-punk records. I mentioned earlier that I talked about the top 10 prog rock, and over the years they have the original pressings. You know, the prices of them are crazy, really. But when it comes to these ones, the prices have never ever gone up. Some of them £5 or less. And to be honest with you, that's great, because I'd rather be spending £5 on an album than mega bucks. You know, it's not all about the investment and the value. It's about just getting something that's affordable. But I think my point is, I just can't understand why these albums haven't gained the collectability or the what's the word I'm looking for? The appeal as, say, the prog rock records. If ever I go to fairs, I always see an awful lot of classic rock. It's everywhere. It always sells. It always goes for high premiums. I don't tend to see any of this stuff. If I want it, I have to order it online, and it's always there and it's always cheap. So yeah, I don't know why this genre seems to be a little bit on the overlooked side, but there it is. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to spread the good word. So please give me some comments. Have you heard any of these? Do you like any of these? Do you think these are obscure or not? I don't know. But please do check them out. I think a lot of them will be on, they might not be on Spotify, because as I say, a lot of them haven't had any kind of digital release, but there may be kind of rips on YouTube to check out. If not, go ahead and treat yourself. I can't recommend these albums enough. So yeah, if you like, as I say, if you like what you see, give me a comment. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe. It all helps. And take care. I'll see you soon for another video.